Hi guys, how long have you left? Well, how long have I left? How long did I think I was going to survive here when I came here? Or live? How long did I think I was going to live when I came here? There's no answer, is there? But I can tell you, coming into my 14th year, I'm in my 14th year, I'm realistically, well, there's no such thing as realistically, is there, when it comes to this? But let's say my expectation would be another 10, 15 years. Isn't it amazing how you can be calm in saying that when you're older? And if you had said that when you were in your 20s, you'd be panicking 10 and 15 years. But that's basically what it is. You know, I power myself with, let's say, dangerous fuels, let's say alcohol and stuff like that. And look, Bangkok is fast becoming an electric vehicle city, although I don't see it becoming completely electric anytime soon, not in my lifetime. I believe the UK will be completely electric by, I think that's what it is. It's a deadline of 2035. I don't know what it is in Ireland, I suppose something similar. But I don't think the Thais will ever do that. And that's another thing about living here and life expectancy here. The air quality is absolute bullshit. I mean, it's absolute bullshit, and I can prove it. My wife bought a portable air conditioning unit and you have to fill it with water in the back and put ice blocks into it for it to do its thing. And she bought it about 2 weeks ago, and last week we're up in Pontoon, that's where she has it. Harry said to me, "Dad, why is there piss in the air conditioner?" There's a little window with a level indicator, a little bubble that goes up and down. And of course this was filled with discoloured water. And I just heard myself say to him, "Jesus, that's sucking in the air from the back of the unit and blowing it out the front and filtering the air. The air is manky, absolute." It was the colour of it, well, let's be polite, a dark ale. And that's Pontoon. Now that's within spitting distance of Bangkok. And we're right in the centre. And these electric vehicles they're a lot more noticeable in the streets of Bangkok, but by no means the majority of cars. It's more or less the Chinese. That's the Chinese one. What's that called? Hang on. Don't know what it's called, but it's Chinese. You living in an urban area like Bangkok, I can safely say that my respiratory system, so far so good, has stood up to it. But I used to smoke here and I don't do it anymore. But when I smoked, I got repeated bouts of bronchitis. And I mean repeated bouts of bronchitis, a lot more than I would have ever got living in Ireland. So that must be an indicator to me that the combination of smoking and living in a polluted environment, air environment like this, well, a polluted air environment like Bangkok, is a double whammy. And therefore, my life expectancy will be affected. This is probably one of the most famous entertainment venues of its type in Bangkok. Is Poseidon. And I don't live more than a stone's throw away from here, but I can tell you I've never been in there. And that's another thing that will affect your life expectancy, is entertainment, drinking and all the rest of it. You know, you could almost say that coming to Thailand as an expat, with the change of environment, the pollution, the food, the salt in the food, the sugar in the food, the lifestyle when it comes to going out and about, you're probably reducing your life expectancy by a very significant amount. And if you think about it, there's a lot of fellas our age that don't last the pace. I mean, their mortal coil burns out a lot quicker than you would expect. This is La Lisa behind me, and I could literally throw a stone and hit the other place we've just been. These kind of places are beyond my reach in terms of entertainment. You just got to take one look at the decor and you'll know you're going to be parting with 10,000 baht for a night out in a place like this. But this is what I mean about life expectancy. If you're doing all that kind of thing, and by the way, I have been and had been, let's say, doing that kind of thing, not necessarily here, going out, getting yourself entertained, drinking. I could say in 14 years in Thailand, I have probably drank as much as I had drank in the previous 30 years in Ireland. I could definitely say that, because before I left Ireland, for a period of about 10 years, I didn't drink at all. I was a non-drinker, non-smoker, nothing. And I never went out anywhere. So when I came here, it was like someone pressed the fast forward button and wow, let's party. And when you got temptation like this around the corner from another place that's around the corner from another place that's around the corner, you'll be going round the bend. Well, I'm standing outside a BYD showroom. When I first came to Bangkok, that was 14 years ago, I don't think I ever saw an electric car. They weren't a thing. But now I'd say there's an MG there, that's Chinese, was British but it's Chinese. I don't know if it's electric or not, but just looking around, the majority cars are still fossil fuels. They're still Toyota, Honda, Mercedes, BMW, that's the usual thing in Bangkok. Mitsubishi, Hyundai to a lesser extent. All fossil fuel, with the odd Mercedes and BMW not being. But BYD is making inroads. I say BYD represents, what, 10% of the vehicular traffic in Bangkok? That's just ballpark. But I see fellas going jogging. I used to do it during COVID. I used to walk 4.5, actually 5 kilometers all the way from the Wigwang MRT right down to the La Prau MRT. It's about just over 5 kilometers there and back. But I do that on the side of the road. And in Bangkok, you're wasting your time taking exercise if you're proximus to traffic, because you're just breathing that shit in. And that's what it is. I've often thought about this. Living in Thailand, you reduce your life expectancy by a substantial amount of time, purely and simply because of the environment you're living in. And we're not just talking about the atmospheric environment or the geographical environment, we're talking about the entertainment environment as well. So I've got myself into McDonald's, and you might say, why? My hypocritical videos in the past of other foreign YouTubers making videos about Western food in Thailand, what the heck? The reason I'm having my McDonald's is because I'm not particularly hungry, but I had to get out of that heat. And that's another thing that might get you as well. One of the reasons I bought baseball caps is I've no hair. And lots of fellas have said this to me before, that I run the risk of melanoma walking out there in that kind of weather. And to do with the food, if the heat doesn't get you, the drink doesn't get you, the girls don't get you, the pollution doesn't get you, the food will get you. Because the amount of sodium, what is it, MSG in Thai food and sugar in Thai food is unbelievable. So arguably a Big Mac is what I'm having now, just a Big Mac, not the meal, but a Big Mac with Coke. A Big Mac with Coke is arguably as good or as bad as a regular Thai meal, because they're full of sugar. And do you know how many Thais that I know have diabetes or have died from diabetes? Have you any idea? Well, you don't have any idea. You wouldn't have any idea. But 2 of her brothers have died from diabetes, my wife's brothers, and she has high blood sugar, and she goes to Pramgale Hospital, and she goes to hospital on a regular basis. Thank you. Thank you so much. Cheers. So my Big Mac has arrived without the fries, but she goes to hospital on a regular basis to get her blood sugar checked, and that's because she eats Thai food all the time. So, did I get a straw? I mean, come on, lads, no straw? What the heck? Whoops a daisy. So, to answer my own question, really, how long do I expect to live in Thailand? As I said, I have no expectation whatsoever. How can I have an expectation? I should be exercising more. I shouldn't be drinking Coke. This is Coke Zero, by the way. I don't know if that's any better. But I don't watch my diet. I used to, but I don't watch my diet anymore. Because I've seen too many videos of young people on the Patient Story. That's a channel that keeps popping up on my YouTube homepage. Of 20-year-olds, 30-year-olds who never felt a thing, and they go in for a regular checkup and they end up stage 4. I'm not going to say the word because I have to be careful what I say on YouTube. But so, no matter what you do in Thailand, if you come here at all the things that are different here that are not done in the West, let's say, in terms of food, in terms of the heat, in terms of the entertainment, you can knock a few years off your life expectancy. This is a Big Mac. I haven't had one of these in a long, long time. That's a unique experience. I probably had more McDonald's meals. I have no way of substantiating this, but I'm just thinking back. I probably had more McDonald's meals in the 14 years I've been in Thailand than I've had in the previous 30 years in Ireland. I've definitely had more meetings with girls in the 14 years I've been here than I ever had in Ireland. If you're wondering, the Coke and the Big Mac, 200 baht. What's that? That's $6. If we talk about other YouTubers, including myself, Thailand YouTubers, how many healthy Thailand YouTubers do you know who look healthy? Now, this is said as much in jest as anything else, but I'm thinking of a few of them, and they look as bad as me. My appearance has changed dramatically since I came here, and obviously it's with age, but just in terms of wear and tear, bloody tear, late nights. You see, because I don't work, because I don't have a 9-to-5 job, I can kind of I don't wake up whenever time I like. I get up when Harry gets up to go bring him to school, but I can lie around the apartment for most of the day if I want to. Or I'm based in the apartment most of the time if I want to be. And that's detrimental to my health as well. You know, I was going to say that Thailand is bad for your health. Then I said to myself, that's unfair, but it's not unfair. The pollution is detrimental to your health. But the way you behave in Thailand, the ball is in your court there, but that can be detrimental to your health. There have been celebrities here, when I came here, and reach their demise in hotel rooms. And there's a lot of Farang that reach their demise in Pattaya. Wow, that's been lovely. It's just been nice to sit here, look out at the beautiful scenery on a beautiful bright sunny day without having to be exposed to it. Anyway, we shall reconvene. That was very nice. I'm walking it off. Another aspect of, well, another thing that will affect your life expectancy here is the stress. And not many people, babies on motorcycles, not many people talk about this on YouTube. I don't think so anyway. But the stress associated with living on a visa, an annual visa, I suppose you can let it stress you out. I tend not to, but I used to stress so much over that. You know, they're changing this and they're changing that, and will my visa be approved? What will I do if it's not? So the whole idea of living in Thailand as an expat on a retirement visa, an O visa, or whatever visa you're on, by its very nature, by the fact that you're putting yourself into an environment that you're new to, and you have to use alcohol as a social crutch, or you eat because you go out eating salty food because it's better than sitting in your condo, or you take a walk in the blistering sun, or you take a deep breath of the pale ale coloured air that's if it's filtered through water. You know, the Japanese haven't got the longest life expectancy for nothing, because they're in a subtropical climate. They're not exposed to this kind of stuff all the time. Their diet is probably one of the healthiest diets in the world. You see, a Thai, this is something, a Thai cannot eat bland food. You ever see a Thai eating a pizza? They smother it in tomato sauce. They give you sachet after sachet. If you go into a Thai pizza place, they'll throw umpteen sachets or oodles of sachets of sauce into the bag. So that's the culture, that's the environment we're living in. And God knows I don't need any help in eating my way to an early grave, or to drinking my way to an early grave. But you see, I relieve my stress on that by realising that it's relative. It's a relatively early grave. It's a relatively late grave when I compare it to so many people that I've known in my life that have died a lot younger and never lived in Thailand, never smoked, never drank, never ate necessarily salty food every year. You know, when I say salty, I mean salty. I mean the Thais can't eat bland food, and you're ingesting all that, and you're absorbing. God Almighty, I'm in the way. I'm always in the way. Go on, you get a bus through there. God. So that's, you know, as I cough, we shall reconvene. We shall reconvene, I hope. So how could we forget the canals? That smell is hydrogen sulfide. To you and me, a little bit like rotten eggs. And what gives it that distinct odour, that pungent odour, is rotting biological things. And this part of it actually is flowing But there's plenty of other parts of this canal, this is the Wigwam Canal, that are completely stagnant. And all manner of means of stuff goes into them, if you know what I mean. To ingest this water would probably mean the end. I know Thais who swim in this stuff, but they must have built up some kind of immunity over their lives. But for you or me, the pungent wafting odor that emits from these canals is enough to give you eye infections, throat infections, respiratory infections, the whole thing. And it's a pity, because these could be one of the crowning glories of Bangkok, and they were in the past. But to clean them up, I'd imagine, would cost an absolute fortune. But it is an awful shame. To live in Bangkok is a wonderful experience. But in terms of your longevity, don't expect to add anything onto it by living here. That's basically it. And it can take a few years off it, to be honest with you. I can see what's floating in that. I'm in a precarious stature at this particular moment. I want to get off this bridge, for the want of a better word, and get onto terra firma. Well, we have reconvened, and it's quite a bit later. And one of the things that I left off this list of things that might shorten your longevity is having a kid when you're 61. Well, wrong, I'll rephrase that. Having a 7-year-old kid when you're 61, almost 62. I'm in a play area on a Thursday evening, and I have something, it's 5:10, and I've got something really important to do at 7 o'clock online, which means I have to be home by 7 o'clock. And we've just started a 1-hour play session here. And I have a very good friend of mine who I speak with every day, and he's about 30 odd years, well, he's 30 years younger than me. I said slightly less than 30 years younger than me. And he said to me that if he was in my situation, he'd die, because he wouldn't be able to handle play areas with 7-year-olds and stuff like that. I can barely handle it myself. And one of the reasons I'm able to handle it is because I'm talking to you. This is stress relief for me. It really is. And stress really adds to, or having a kid in your 60s, well, having a young child, a 7-year-old plus in your 60s, can be, well, obviously it's one of the most rewarding things ever, but it can certainly bring stress. I buy my free time when I take care of Harry, because it's at the cost me 190 baht to put him into the play place, and that's just for 1 hour. And I asked him, I said, well, it'd be all right if I could do a bit of shopping, go and buy a few beers or something down in the supermarket down below while you're in your play place. He said no, so I can't go anywhere, so I'm roped. So there you go. There's another aspect of living in Thailand that can shorten your longevity. And that's, I've kept it in this video as serious as possible, because some of the issues, in terms of the air quality and stuff like that can be damn serious, and that can really affect your health. But by and large, I've been living here for 14 years, and I don't think yet I can say, at this stage I can say, I have been unaffected to any real degree of, as a result of bad air quality. I've been unaffected to any degree, I suppose, of the hydrosulfuric gases. And I meant to say that earlier on. It's not just a waft of an aroma or an odor. An odor. It's the gases that are released from those canals, and that canal in particular, that are potentially dangerous if you inhale them. But besides all that, I enjoy living here, and I'm prepared to put up with all the things I've discussed in this video, because it's a small price. Well, at the moment, if I was incapacitated by a respiratory illness because of the air, let's say, I probably wouldn't be saying this. But at the time of making this video, I would consider it, all the things I discussed in this video, a small price to pay for the privilege of living in Thailand. And it is a privilege. It's a Thursday. What have I got to look forward to? I got to look forward to going back to one more online activity. That's only 45 minutes. I'm going to buy a few beers. Then I'm going to have a chat with a very good friend of mine online, and that'll be shooting the breeze. And then I've got a full day tomorrow. Go back through all this again tomorrow, collecting Harry to school. But on Saturday morning we're off down to Bansang, and Bansang brings with it its own, let's say, its own dangers in terms of spending a week or a weekend by the sea. I'll go into that. I'll go into the pros and cons of going to Bansang when we're in Bansang on Saturday. This is Thursday. This video goes up on Friday, so the Bansang video should be up on Sunday. And I hope you get up to something at the weekend that makes you feel happy. I've got up to something today that makes me feel happy, and that's talking to you. And listen, lads, if you haven't done it already, please remember, click the like button, the share button, subscribe button. Do all those wonderful things, and I'll bring you back another wonderful video very soon. That is, if I'm still around.